Hi 7th standard student, today we are going to see 2.2 the topic Two Fables. A fable is very short story. Fable means a short story, usually with animal characters or even inanimate and things that speak. In the fable, there is the characters, animal characters and inanimate things. These are the speaking in that story. A fable usually ends with message or a moral. These stories ends with the message and the ends with the moral. It tells you about the ways of the world and how one should behave in society. These fables means stories. These tell us about the way of the world and how to behave in the society. These stories tell to us. These two fables came from Aesop, the famous Greek storyteller. His stories were told and retold in many countries according to their own local conditions. Here, the story of the town mouse and country mouse is retold in the English style. See, these two stories or these two fables, these are come from Aesop, and Aesop, the famous Greek storyteller. The name of Aesop is the name of famous Greek storyteller, and his stories were told and retold in many countries. His stories, that means fables, told and retold in many countries in their local condition according to their local conditions. This told, and here are the story of the town mouse and country mouse, and this is retold in English style. Say activity. Do you like to read stories? The question is that if you like to read stories, you may say yes, I like to read stories, or no, I don't like to read stories. List 5 of your favorite stories. You have to write your name of the favorite 5 stories. You may list stories from any language. You may write your favorite stories from any language. Now use one or more of the following story types to describe your favorite stories. Here has given the story types, and that story types you have to use one of the following stories types and describe your favorite stories. Folk tale, various types of the stories. That first one is folk tale, parable, second one, third one, horror story, fairy tale, detective story, mythology, realistic, anecdote, childhood stories, political, comedy, satire, inspiring, inspirational, motivational, comics, fables, science fiction, fantasy, historical, adventure, wit and humor, romantic, school stories, social, story with twist, tragedy, moral stories. These are the types of story. Here is the activity: two 2 minutes of oral work. Within 2 minutes, tell as many words as possible related to the following. Here, the student have to tell the relative words Within 2 minutes, the following words village, city, forest. Related to village or related to city, related to forest, student have to tell the as many words as the possible. Here the first story, that is the fable, that is the two friend and the bear. Two friends were traveling together through wood. When suddenly they came across a bear. The bear saw the travelers and rushed out upon them. One of the travelers was good at climbing tree. Without waiting for his friend, he caught hold of a branch of a nearby tree and hid himself among the leaves. The other did not know what to do. He had heard that bears do not bother with dead animals, so he threw himself flat down upon the ground with his face in the dust. The bear coming up to him put its muzzle close to his ear and sniffed, but the man lay very quietly on the ground and did not even breathe. At last, with a growl, it shook its head and slowed off. Then the fellow in the tree came down to his comrade and laughing said, "What was it that Master's Bruins whispered to you?" "He told me," said the other, "never trust a friend who deserts you at a pinch." See, this is the story about the two friends and the bear. Two friends, they were traveling togetherly through wood means jungle. In the jungle, through the jungle, they were traveling, two friends, and suddenly or accidentally there came bear in front of them, and the bear saw two friends or two traveler, and the bear is coming towards the two friends. One of the traveler or one friend is was good in the climbing on the tree, and without waiting for his friend, the one friend, the one traveler who has good at climbing, climb on the tree, and he caught that friend or one traveler caught the one branch of the nearby tree and climb on the tree and hide in the leaves of that tree. And another traveler, the friend, he did not go at the climbing. He did not know what to do. Then he had heard the bears did not bother with dead animals. That another traveler had heard from other person that bear did not bothers dead animals. So he threw himself flat down upon the ground with his face in the dust, and that times the bear came near to him, and he was snipped that lying friend, and other friend was watching what the bear was doing. The man lying very quietly on the ground. That person or that friend was lying on the ground very quietly, did not even breathe that time. At last, with a growl, it shook its head and slowed off. The bear lastly growled it shook and its heads and sludged off. That bear went from that friend. Then the fellow in the tree came down to his comrade and laughing said, "What was it that Master Bruins whispered to you?" And the friend who has climbed on the tree came down from the tree and with a laughing and said, "What was it that Master's Bruins whispered to you?" That means what that your master of beer whispered in your ear. That times the friend who had lie on the ground said to or replied to his friend that he told me, said the other or the that friend is said or replied to his friend, that is, never trust a friend who deserts you at a pinch. This was the told by or said by that friend, or that friend has given the answer or reply to his friend who has climbed on the tree.